Hi students, today I'm going to be taking you through some demonstrations on Fusion 360 CAD software. So when you open up Fusion 360, you should come to the screen that you can see at the moment. And this is the main screen that gives you all the icons that you will be using to do your drawings, your CAD drawings. So if we look along the top, we've got some solid modeling icons, we've got modify icons, assemble icons, construct, etc. So those are all available for you to do your drawings, and they are context sensitive, so they will change as you move through the different screens in Fusion 360. On the right hand side of the screen, you can see we've got our cube that shows us our orientation, the top, the side, the bottom, and if you click on those, we will change our orientation. But I'll show you that once we have something loaded up. On the left hand side, we can see the different document informations, and also as we start drawing, we will see the different bodies and parts listed over there. We have some orientation options over here for dragging and moving, and then along the bottom, you can't see it yet, but that will be our history of all the commands that we have done. The other thing that's important to note is on the left hand side, we'll see those 9 blocks. If we click on that, that's called the data panel, and that is how we access all of the files that we've saved. So you can see I've made a folder already by clicking new folder that says EDRV101, and if we click the X, we can close that out again and use the full screen. So to start a new drawing, we will always start with a sketch, and to create a sketch, we will click on this button. That will then ask us which plane do we want to draw on. So here it's given us the 3 orientations. You can also see the origin over here, the different planes, and if we look at that block, you'll see the top and the side and so on. So if we want to draw on the top view, it's a good idea to select in advance what view you think you're going to be looking at, so that the naming of the views coincides with the orientation of your part. So I'm going to draw on the top view, so that means I'm going to draw on this plane over here, which is actually the XY plane. I click on it, it turns that plane to orientate perpendicular to the screen, and then it gives me all of the sketching commands. I'm in the sketch view, and at the right hand side we've got the green circle with a tick in it that says finish the sketch. So once we've finished drawing our sketch, then we can exit the sketch by going and clicking finish sketch. The origin is right there in the middle, and we always want to link to the origin when we start our drawing. And we'll start our drawing by either selecting a line or a block or a circle. So today I'm going to be doing this exercise. And as you can see, it's actually an assembly of a few links that are connected together. So I'm going to start by drawing this object that you see here, which is the main component. I'm just going to enlarge it slightly so I can see it better. So you can see I've got 80 millimeters between those 2 holes in vertical direction and 80 in the horizontal direction. That's a diameter 10 hole on both sides. Alright, so I'm going to put my origin at the bottom one just to start off with. So we've got a diameter 10. So I'll go and select a circle, place it on the origin, and then move out from the origin, and I can just type in 10 on my keyboard, and I can end up with a 10 millimeter a hole in that position. So now up here somewhere on the left, I'm going to have another 10 millimeter hole, And now I need to dimension it. So this is the dimension, sketch dimension tool. If I can either click on the circle or on the center. Either way, it's going to give me a dimension from the one to the other. I select the other circle. If I move down, it gives me a horizontal dimension or a vertical dimension, depending which one I would like. So I click, and then I type in what I want. That was 80 millimeters apart. So let's do that again to get the vertical dimension, which was also 80 millimeters. And if you recall, there was a radius of 15, so that would be 30. Another 2 circles we can draw. We click on circle, click on the center, move out, and we type 30. So that's a radius of 15. So I have now created those 2 circles on either side. I have a 12 millimeter wide strip that's going down. In fact, it may be useful to draw the center. I don't have it at the moment, but let's draw a line going down the center. You can see as I move down, I've got that little blue indicator that tells me that it's vertical. And now if I go across and I go to that point, and push escape to stop, I have now a line going down and across. But if I click on my horizontal vertical constraint, so these are all constraints. If I click on that, it then makes that one horizontal. So I now have a line going down and a line going across. And if we remember from the picture, that is 12 millimeters wide, the part going down and across. In fact, the one going up is also 12 millimeters, so that's 6 on either side. So I could actually draw another line there, and I could actually use the offset command. So if I click offset, click on that line and then click on 6 millimeters. I now have a line that's offset 6 millimeters in that direction. And then I go minus, up in minus 6, it will go to the opposite side. I can do the same on this one. I can type 6 and offset again, minus 6. So those 2 widths are now both 12 millimeters. But don't worry, we will trim the lines afterwards before we do our extrusion. So we have a radius of 10 around the bottom and a radius of 15 at the top. Radius of 15, let's just then look at that again. Yeah, that's all with the same center point. So, oh, that was a mistake. I'm just going to select my circle, click it on that point, and I type 30 because it's a radius of 15. And now I have that portion of my radius that I'm wanting to have. Yeah, that's not actually correct because we can see the center is that hole. That hole is not on this intersection of these. It's 4 millimeters up in both directions. So let's go and change that. Delete, either select it, delete it, or we could just click on undo. Good idea to zoom in and out with your wheel. If you want to move side to side, you press the wheel down and then you can pan as well. press the wheel down and you move your mouse, hold it down, and then you can pan. If you zoom in and out, you move the wheel. So that hole that we have is diameter of 5, and there's 7 of them. We place it and we move it 4 millimeters inboard of both. If you recall, it was 4 millimeters, 4 millimeters, 4 millimeters. Alright. So let's try that circle again. Which was 30, a radius of 15. And also we can do a fillet from here to there, and I think that was 10. So there we've created a fillet on this corner of the radius of 10 millimeters. Alright, so what are these? All fillets and rounds of radius of 3. So these are the fillets here, will all be radius of 3 because they're not dimensioned. Radius of 3. So if we say there's a fillet here with a radius of 3, somehow that doesn't look right. Or is it right? $10, $30. Well, let's keep it for 3 for now. And we will put that one 3. All right. Looks like some of the dimensions were lost when I did that, so let's just put these back. That's 6 because my lines went blue. If the line is blue, then it's not constrained anymore. So I'm just placing some dimensions back on these lines. It's important to make sure that all of your lines are fully constrained. You can see my sketch is now black, so that means the lines can't move around. They are constrained, they are fixed in position by dimensions and by other constraints, whether it's a parallel or vertical horizontal constraint, or whether it's fixed in position on the origin. So let's finish the sketch for now and see what we have. I can now go to my extrude command and I can start selecting geometry. And right, so those holes would be there, and then give them a dimension of thickness, and this thing what is the thickness of this part? I think it's 15 millimeters thick. So let's try that. Let's type 15. Okay. Now I don't have all the information or all the geometry on it, but I'll just show you different ways to do that. Now we can see, if we click on this little house, that's what we call the home button. Right, so that always takes us to an isometric view of our part, no matter what we're looking at. We click on the top view, you can see the top. We click on these little arrows, we can flip it over, flip it around, rotate it. But if we click on home, it'll always come back to the same one. So you'll see that some of these fillets have not been added yet. If I want to free rotate this part, and I hold my shift key down and then press the mouse button down, it allows me to rotate it. Hold shift, there's your shift, and then you push your mouse button down. Your wheel, push in the wheel of the mouse and free rotate. If you just push the wheel of the mouse down, then you will be panning, translating it. But if you want to rotate, you hold shift and do the same thing. Very nice and easy way to rotate and see all different features on your part. Alright, so let's add some more fillets. We can do this in the 3D geometry. So we said that all the fillets were 3. If we select, let's make it 3. Turn it around. I think we should just select them all first and then type in the number. So there, that one, on the other side as well. Turn it around, select that line, and then type in 3. Okay. We'll click on home again. Now we can see these fillets have been added in our 3D geometry. So you're quite welcome to go and add your fillets in the 3D geometry rather than in the 2D sketch. You just have to decide which is going to be easier for you. Now there's some holes that we haven't put in yet. As you can see, now we could go back and put them into the sketch, into the first sketch that we drew, because that would be the easiest way. But just to show you another way, I'm going to add them onto the top. Alright, so we've got 30 millimeters down from the top, and then 26 down, and these are all 5 millimeter holes, 30 and 26. So I'm going to do another sketch on the top surface, and then I'm going to draw a hole, 2 holes. I'm going to draw it 30 millimeters down, and then another 26 down from there. The diameter of this circle, I'm going to make it 5, and then I'm going to start using constraints. If I click on the equal constraint, I click on that circle and that circle, it'll make them the same. Push escape to unselect it. At the moment, they are not vertical to one another. So I could actually make them vertical by clicking the vertical point there, clicking that circle and that one. Now it's constrained the 2 circles to be vertically in line from one another. But they're still blue, so that means I need to constrain them horizontally. Remember, it was 12 millimeters wide, so 6 millimeters either way. Right, let's put all the holes in. 30, 26, and then it's 40 from either side on that one. So we've basically got the same thing, and then we've got some more holes here. All the holes are the same size. So we select the one we want to use as our master, and then we just keep clicking on equals, and there we've got all our circles the same diameter. So now if I change this to an 8, for example, all of them will get bigger. Let's just undo that. Alright, so let's put in some more dimensions. That was 30, and then this is 26. These two circles were aligned horizontally, and they were from the edge, measure up 6 millimeters to get them central. Alright, so this one is now 40 millimeters from that one. You can see we can either go vertical, horizontal, or if we go in between there, that's a direct measurement. So that's the one we want, 40 millimeters. From there to there, we also want it to be 40, and we want this to be 6 millimeters from the end, from the edge also. So now I've added 6 holes, or 6 circles. I can finish the sketch, and I can go back to my extrude command. Under my options, let's first select the geometry. Zoom in a bit so you can see clearly which ones you're selecting. Select all of these circles, and you can see the arrow is now pointing upwards. So if I click on that arrow and I drag it downwards, you can see I can now select cut operation. And instead of going for a distance, I can say all. And if I do all, that means it goes through everything that in its way. So I've selected 6 circles, and I have selected cut in a downward direction, and I've said the extent must be all, so it must cut through everything. So there we go. If I click on top, you'll see that the holes go right the way through. So I've got holes in it. Alright, so let's save this. Let's call it Fusion360 exercise 1. And here we've got location. We can go and select different folders. I'm going to select the EDRV101 folder. If I double click on it, you can see it adds it there. I can then bring that up again and click save. If I now go to my data panel, I go into EDRV101, you can see it's already saved that project in this folder. So we close it again so we have more space. Alright, what we can also do is we can add properties to this part. So if we right click on the part name, as you see it there, we go to physical material, and we will see in this library we can see different types of materials. So let's just select something that is metal. Material library, glass, liquid, stone, plastic. So there's all the metals. Let's just select like a mild steel. Let's make it brass. Alright, so what we do is we click on it and we drag it onto the part, and it now has selected that material. And because when we clicked on it, there is only one part, so yeah, that has now added that material to this part. So let's save that. Alright, if I right click on the part after I've added the material properties to it, and then I go to properties, you can see this properties windows comes up here. It's got a whole bunch of things which I'm not really interested in, but what I want to show you is the physical properties. So if we click on physical properties, you can see because we selected brass, this part now has a mass of 485.6 grams. It's calculated that for us. The volume of the part, including all the holes that have been cut out, is 57332 cubic millimeters. The density of the brass that we selected is given there, grams per cubic millimeter. The surface area of the whole part on the outside is given to you. The other thing that it gives to you, which is very useful, is the center of mass position. So, center of mass, remember when we started drawing, we selected the origin at the bottom corner here. So the center of mass is measured from that origin in X, Y, and Z direction, and here we can see our coordinates. Z is facing upwards, it's the blue line. X is horizontally, or is kind of towards us, and then Y is going in the other direction. So here are the coordinates to your center of mass, your center of gravity. So that's very useful. In some of your projects in mechanics, you're going to be learning about center of mass, and here we can draw something very quickly, and we can give the component material, and then it will automatically calculate the center of mass. We've also got some other interesting things like moment of inertia. So there is the moment of inertia around the major axes, already calculated for you. And we have some more moments of inertia about all the various planes and axes. Bounding box is the total, kind of the blank material size. So as you can see, your CAD software gives you a lot of useful information about your part after you have drawn it. Alright, the next thing I want to do is draw another part and then add it on here. So in Fusion 360 we will add it into this drawing. We don't have a separate file for an assembly. So what we will do is right click here and we will say new component. So let's call that link, and if we go back, let's call it center link. Center link. Alright. Now let's put a new part down here, and you can see it's got this little activate component icon, and now the first component is no longer active. Right, so we've actually got two parts in this file, so it's an assembly now, even though we haven't drawn anything yet. But what this allows us to do is to draw something on top of another component so we can use its geometry. So this center link is mounted on the assembly. Alright, so we can't actually draw it on yet, so let's draw the rocker link, which is the longer one. There it is. So we will just add that in and draw the other one later. New component, we'll call it rocker link. The reason I didn't want to draw the center link is because it's out there in the open. That's not connected to anything because we haven't drawn something yet. Right, so the rocker link is connected to the bottom. We can actually draw it on top here. And it is 100 millimeters long. Radius 10, both ends, that being 20. Diameter, that's 10. The holes are 10 millimeters. Alright, so I'm going to do a sketch. I have my active component selected, create a sketch, and I'm going to create it on this part. As you can see it there. So I'm just going to draw a 10 millimeter circle, and I draw another one that is 20. And let's draw another one out here somewhere, also 10, and another one 20. I can now join those up. So if I click here, there, see as I move around, it will give me a tangent constraint. So now I've made those two tangent, and I can click on my tangent constraint. I can click that, and then constrain those two to be tangent, and those two as well. So now we have tangent constraints. We can do the same. The center, click the tangent constraints. Alright, remember that the dimension between the centers was 100, and we also remember that it's 70 from the one in the slot. So let's once again make those tangent. Okay, now dimension that distance to be 70, and that distance directly measured 15. Alright, just to make it easier, we can actually move our dimensions out of the way. It's cluttering my drawing a little. We've got a 10 over there. Alright, so what we didn't do was put a dimension onto this one, which is 10. Okay, so now everything is in line. That one, I think, needs a dimension of 20. There we go, now it looks right. As you can see, this thing is still free to move around, but that's fine. It's constrained otherwise. We finish our sketch, we go to our extrude. As far as I can remember, it's 10 millimeters thick. So let's try it's not that part. So we select all the parts that we want to add material to. Like that, make 10. And now we can actually rotate our part and have a look at the thickness. Almost looks too much. I wonder if it isn't 5. Yeah, let's keep it 10. So there we have our part, our rocker link. We can now, if we go back and activate the main assembly, let's see, this is actually not linked to that one. So what we have to do is create an assembly. So here we select a joint, and component 1, we want that one to have a joint with that one. Alright, now those two are linked together, but not quite in the way that we were hoping. So let's undo that. Well, let's try again. Select the joint. Let's select that bottom surface, and let's select that top circle there. There we go. I think that's what we wanted. So now we have a joint that's connected those together. It's not really allowing any movement at this stage, but in any case, there we have our joint. So we can turn it this way, it's connected them together. We can now create our center link. So if we go and activate the center link, we want to draw the center link on top of the rocker link. I think it's the same. That's just 90 long instead of 100. Alright, so let's draw on this surface. Draw 10. I forgot to dimension it. I have to dimension it afterwards. 20 millimeters. 10. 20. And now we just join them. Let's just give a dimension. 90. So that's directly from the one to the other. I can now go and select I'll find my tangent point. I don't want to give it to me here, so I'll just add it in afterwards. Tangent to that, and that's tangent to that one. Draw a few more lines on this circle, tangent to that one, and to that one, tangent again. So we can constrain this side tangent and those two tangent. So all that's left now is to draw that circle, make them tangent, to the inner lines and then give them a dimension. I'm assuming that's again 15. From either side. So I have enough information now to finish my sketch and to then go and extrude all the geometry that I want to extrude. Don't forget all the little pieces. Oh, there's a little piece down the bottom there. I'm going to make this one 5. Because it's starting to look a little bit too much. Alright. I want to see the whole assembly together. There it is, but you can see it's not actually constrained, but it is touching that surface. Right, I've made the drive link, and now we're going to assemble it again. So we're going to select joint and the bottom surface circle and then the top one, join them together. And then what we need to do under motion is select Revolute. Alright, so now it creates a joint that actually rotates around. Click OK. And a little bit earlier I made this one thinner, edited it and made that 10 millimeters, and I also made each of those Revolute joints. Alright, by creating Revolute joints I've been able to only constrain these together and allow them to rotate. So these are all rotating. Let me just see if I look from underneath, are they the same thickness? Looks like it is. If it's on top, they should be touching one another. Alright. So if I now create a joint, select that one and that one, and make them a Revolute joint. Let's see if that has done the job for us. Yes, it has. Alright, great. So now this system can actually rotate as in real life. because when I made the joints I selected motion and made them revolute joints. Alright, so make sure we've saved our parts and our assembly. So here we can see all of the parts in the assembly. In fact, the main part is now named as the exercise. What we should have done was create a Fusion360 file and then added all the parts into it, so that each of the parts will be shown up as a separate part in my list here. So as you can see at the moment, this bottom part is not shown because it's actually the main file. It's part of the main file. Alright, so selecting the main file here, activating it, shows you the history of everything we've done. So it's all of those joints, all of those sketches, extrusions. We can edit them at any time by double clicking them or right clicking and saying edit feature or edit sketch. We can modify them all. Alright, and if you want to see your parts, you can click on that browser and you can see all the parts that you designed up to now. And yeah, that's all I wanted to show you today. Hope you enjoy learning Fusion 360.